This is TLV1.
The Tel Aviv Review.
Hello and welcome to the Tel Aviv Review, a program dedicated to books and research and a broad range of issues pertaining to Israel and beyond. This interview was made possible by the Z3 project, an initiative of the Oshman family JCC, committed to creating an ongoing dynamic forum for opinions and ideas about diaspora Jewry and Israel. The Oshman family JCC is a premier source in the Silicon Valley of exciting and innovative programming focused on architecting the Jewish future. For more information about Z3, visit z3project.org. My guest today is the director of My Israel, a grassroots organization dedicated to promote Zionism online, as well as a columnist in the weekly Makor Rishon newspaper. Sara Haetzni-Cohen, hello and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So the tagline of My Israel is making Zionism. What are really the principal tenets of Zionism that your organization seeks to promote?
Okay, so let me just give a sentence about My Israel. My Israel is one of the largest grassroots organizations in Israel dedicated to promoting Zionist activism online and on the ground. We have around 200,000 followers in different social media. And our goal is to promote pro-Israel activism online. Since we found out that activism has changed in the new era of new media and social media. And people not always like to go out of their, comfort zone. So we need to find a way to change reality through the new tools we have, the new fields we have. So we actually promote pro-Israel activism inside Israel and outside of Israel. But mainly, we speak Hebrew, now both on the mental level and the language. So we want the Israeli public to be active and to protect home when is needed.
Can you give us an example or two?
BDS, for example, when you need masses of people that, that react and give comments and give good comments to artists that want to come to Israel, for example. Now we have big soccer games in Israel with Argentina and Brazil, for example, and they're being attacked by tons of BDSniks. And you need a mass of people that can welcome them and tell them sports above all. Welcome to Israel. We have great...
So it's basically changing the discourse rather than affecting a policy or another.
No, we do want to affect policies, but we have certain fields that we're trying to be active in. So our daily activity is more, these small things that can actually change reality. But we do have bigger projects. One of our biggest projects contains the conflict, okay? For example, the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. We're trying to put different intelligent agenda on the table rather than the two-state solution. So we held a very big conference last year, exactly a year ago, in November 29th, Kaftet November, in Jerusalem. That's
just to say that's the day that the partition plan was endorsed by the UN in 1947 and has been celebrated since.
Precisely, and this is why we chose the date. It was very symbolic. So we held a very big conference, around 500 participants. We never accepted this amount of people. It was sold out, and the public in Israel is thirsty to hear new ideas, that make sense, a new vision, and not only what we shouldn't do, but also what we should do. Where should we go?
So just to clarify that, you're saying that it was supposed to present an alternative to the two-state solution, and that's the new creative idea that the public is thirsty for?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what are these new ideas?
So there are a lot of alternatives. I actually have a booklet right over here. I can hand it to you. And your listeners can also download it from our website.
It's in English.
We translated it, yes. It was originally in Hebrew, but it's a long research that I have made personally out of curiosity and out of anxiety for the future of Israel and for the future of my kids. So we put on the table not one solution, the perfect solution, substitute to the two-state solution. No, we don't think it's a good idea to put a holistic, locked plan on the table when you're in such a mess like a Middle East. We put a few alternatives and we put them into categories like full sovereignty, partial sovereignty, regional.
For the Palestinians.
Sorry?
Sovereignty for the Palestinians?
Sovereignty upon Judea and Samaria.
Oh, by Israel?
Yeah, of course. We're coming from this point of view. We do have an agenda. So we put a few alternatives with very strict questions and categories that we asked from the people who offered this. So we have Naftali Bennett and Professor Israel Uman.
Nobel laureate.
And a few more. That's really, I'm not going to elaborate on this, but that they opened their minds and they put on the table different solutions or different plans for the future of Israel that are substitute to the agenda we all used to be talking about.
And the purpose of that is to create a critical mass among the Israeli public, or perhaps that it will trickle up to decision makers, or perhaps
it's already trickled up to the decision makers. Our conference was held in Jerusalem, and a lot of ministers and parliament Knesset members were speakers or in the audience. In the audience were also like regular, normal people from the daily life, but also people from like the 8200, the intelligence unit of the army that dealing with the conflict, or people from the UN, UNESCO, the British Embassy, like different students.
Do you think that the fact that the two-state solution and even the diplomatic process with the Palestinians is effectively off the table is part of that larger movement that you're trying to ignite?
I'm happy to be a part of it. It's not only myself, okay? A lot of people are dealing with it. But I think that our special point of view of Israel Sheli, of My Israel, is to actually promote alternatives and not only, put a negative agenda, not try to avoid something. We can also, parallelly make activities that try to avoid the two-state solution or in this way or another, but we also put a vision on the table. And we're saying it's not perfect, it's not like the perfect solution, we're not in Switzerland, but we do want to promote a positive discourse upon the conflict, the big conflict.
Is it an exclusively internal discussion among Israeli Jews, or do you have any interlocutors among the Palestinians, both in the West Bank and in Israel proper?
So it's very interesting. So basically, it's an internal discourse, okay? We're speaking with Israelis because we feel that Israel needs to decide what's good for her, as we did in the Oslo Accords. Yitzhak Rabin, Zichrono Livracha, that's the Memorial Day today for his murder. Now, he decided what's good for Israel on his ideology, how he saw it. And afterwards, he went and talked with the Palestinians. Now, we think that Israel needs to decide what path does she take? What way do we want to see ourselves? And then, of course, we should talk with our neighbors. Now, one of the things that I found out in my research a few years ago is that no one really speaks with the Palestinians. That's even not from the left side of the political map in Israel. Now, go to the Labour Party, Mifleget HaAvoda. They put in this, I don't know, a lot of elections lately, so the figures are changing. But Omer Bar-Lev was a parliament member from Mifleget HaAvoda. He put a plan on the table. Chilik Bar was a Knesset member from Avoda. He put a plan on the table. Both of them are not speaking with the Palestinians. It's all unilateral. So
Maybe because they're not in government. I mean, to their credit, you can say that.
No,
if
but
they were in
Tamar
government,
Zandberg is also not in government, and she's willing to talk with the Palestinians.
The former leader of Meretz, yeah.
Yeah, I disagree, okay, with the way she runs it, but whatever. She's not in government, and she speaks about a dialogue. Now, Omer Bar-Lev and Chilik Bar are on the left side of the political map, and they also, they think that Israel should do what's good for itself, and to do it unilateral if there is no partner. So, first of all, yes, it's an internal discourse because we feel that we need to decide. On the other hand, I do think that dialogue is a very important thing. It's a big challenge for us. It's a big challenge for us because I don't think you can... I don't want to do it through the Palestinian Authority. I don't think it's the good thing for the future to do it through the Palestinian Authority. Actually, the Palestinian Authority today is avoiding the normalization between Palestinians and Israelis, especially with settlers. Now, the place that you find the most daily life dialogue is in the settlements because they live together. Now, go to the supermarket in Somet HaGush, in Gush Etzion, they're shopping together. They're working together in mutual industrial places. But the Palestinian Authority is trying to avoid it. So she puts people in jail when they, for example, people who from different villages around Efrat in Gush Etzion visited the sukkah of the mayor of Efrat. He invited them. It was a great meeting. It was a great thing, And on the same night, they were in jail in the Palestinian Authority. Without Israel, they could stay there for months. So it's a big challenge.
The organization was started by Naftali Bennett and Ayelet Shaked before you took over, who, as our listeners probably know, are right-wing politicians and former ministers. And now, actually, Bennett is back in government, but that's a separate issue. And the politics is well known, as well as yours. Is it, you're not trying to hide the agenda of your organization, but is there any kind of structural, organizational ties between the organization and your political representation, that is, whether Habayit HaYehudi or Yamin Hadash or the New Right or all those parties
whatever it is now,
wherever they are now, are they, as it were, your people in the Knesset?
So definitely not. I'm a Likud member. I'm Chavrat Merkaz Likud. You can translate it?
A member of the Central Committee of Likud.
Yeah. So definitely not. We are in very good relationship with Naftali Bennett and Ayelet Shaked. We're as well as with Yariv Levin and Zev Elkin from Likud, Gilad Erdan from Likud, or any other, Knesset member that we can promote policy with. So the answer is no. And actually, they did a very generous thing that when they left Israel Sheli, my Israel, and stood, and crossed the line to politics, they left everything. For good and bad, okay, for better or not. But they left everything. And I became the head of the organization, and it was a big challenge for me in any aspect. But there is no any
Why is there really such a need for that kind of grassroots activism when this is really where politics in Israel is going? I mean, Netanyahu, well, not so much anymore, but was the longest-serving prime minister in Israel's history. He half-heartedly endorsed the two-state solution, even though it was clear that he wasn't planning to do anything about it. And in retrospect, it didn't do very much. It seems like everything is hunky-dory for, people of your political persuasion. Why does there need to be, ongoing activism on the ground?
Because people care. Really. And we see it every day. People care about their life and they care about the future. Now, I don't know if the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't know if he will be the Prime Minister, whatever mess now in Israel, but I don't know if he meant his Bar Ilan speech with the two-state solution or he didn't mean it. I don't know. I was very sorry when he said, when he gave this speech. And I did everything that I can to change it.
And you did. Well, not you personally,
not
but
me personally,
in retrospect, your view was vindicated. You didn't really pursue that.
Okay, I'm very happy because I think it was a disaster. But people care. And they care and they want to be active. And we need to give them, Like, we need to gather them and to make them not individual, to make the individuals a mass, a group, an identity, and to show them that they have the force to, they can change things when they choose to, and when we do it together, they can change. So even if you think that Israel is going to the conservative, to be more conservative, I also think so, okay? It didn't become very well in the last elections from my point of view, but whatever. I think that this is where it goes. But even so, you don't want it to be empty. You want it to be full with meaning and full with ideology and reasons, and not just, okay, so this is the dynamic, whatever.
What can you tell us about the positive content they were trying to instill in this discussion? You said that you devised this political program via your interviews and meetings with people so as to present this alternative to the two-state solution. Can you take us through the principal tenets of what's really wrong with the two-state solution, what your alternative offers?
What's wrong with the two-state solution? Everything. No, I mean, really, it goes hand by hand with the wrong value in different levels, the level of values and ideology, and the reason why are we here in the land, not here, but why are we...
We are now in the promised land of California.
A different one. Yeah. Why are we here in the land of Israel? And both on the security angle of withdrawal from Judea and Samaria after we saw what happened in Gaza, I mean, it's going to be a disaster. So everything about the two-state solution is wrong.
Okay, and your solution, how does it address these issues?
I'm not...
What are you going to do to ensure Israel's security that isn't being done now?
Security, we're going to control. We're going to control every centimeter of Judea and Samaria like we do today. It happened to be only in Chomat Magen in 2002 after the big terror attacks of the Intifada.
The IDF operation in 2002.
Yeah, thank you. So that's when Ariel Sharon, who was the prime minister by then, said, you know what, no negotiation, we're entering the A area.
That was under direct control of the Palestinian Authority.
And what we did, like Tzahal, the IDF, just went inside Nablus and Ramallah and Jenin and just cleaned all the cells within these cities. So now every night our good guys, our soldiers are getting inside these cities in order for not having bombs in Tel Aviv. So in the security, in the security level that you just mentioned, this is what should be. But there is a challenge, and we can't hide it, of the population, the Palestinian population in Judea and Samaria. Now, there are different paths and different alternatives for it. I'm not going to elaborate because it's a very long discussion. I do want to mention to whoever listens now, and I'm making a lot of discussions with different groups, that the direction changed. I mean, if once we put on ways the destination of withdrawal, so we put on ways, the destination was two-state solution. Now we tried one path. One path was the negotiation. Okay, we do it with a partner, and we're going to try. This is the Oslo Accords. Later on, we tried, it didn't work. So we tried the unilateral way, which was, the agenda was no partner, so we'll do it ourselves. But the destination stayed the same. The destination was the two-state solution and withdrawal. We put different routes on it. And now I think Israel is going to a different destination, a different direction. We put on ways a different destination, which is sovereignty. Now, how do you do it, and what route do you choose? That's a big challenge, and we have to deal with it. But this is the way it goes. Now, there was
so first a change of perception, and then you realize what the...
No. We don't have time. We do it parallelly. We do it parallelly, and it's very challenging, I can tell. But I can tell that there was a poll of the Israeli Democracy Institute in the last election, the second election. Hopefully we don't have another one. And there was a poll that asked, different questions on different issues. One issue was the conflict. And they asked, do you support the sovereignty in Area C? 48%.
Area C being the area controlled strictly by Israel.
Yeah, it's 60% of Judea and Samaria. That's a lot. I mean, that's the Bennett plan. So 48% of the Israelis that have been asked the question said they support. That's a lot of people. We're in a different area. I mean, that's the way it goes to. Now it's very challenging. And we need to take a lot of responsibilities and to break our heads how to do it right. But this is the way it goes to. So,
what is really the purpose of your personal involvement with Likud? Because the Likud, especially under Netanyahu, was famous for its almost religious, I would say, adherence to the status quo. You really don't change anything. You don't withdraw and you don't annex. It seems that it's also been pretty successful electorally. I mean, that kind of agenda is accepted on large swathes of the right and also of the center-left. If it works, why break it?
Because status quo is not a strategy, it's a micro-tactics. And reality is very dynamic. I see it every day. Now, my parents live in Kiryat Arba, which is a small settlement next to Hebron. And you see it every day. And it's people's life. So status quo, I understand why you need to do things very slowly, okay, not to break everything in one day. Mm-hmm. But status quo is not a stable solution.
But don't you think that the same way that Israelis are averse to taking chances, withdrawals and, gestures to the Palestinians, they would be averse with taking chances for sovereignty and perhaps, whatever implication it might have diplomatically in terms of Israeli-Palestinian relations on the ground for the settlers themselves. I mean, for example, some sort of Palestinian uprising would target the people closest to them, who are the settlers.
So this way we wouldn't do anything in any field, economics or politics or anything. But if you believe in something and you think that it's the good thing to do, the best thing to do to the people of Israel and to the state of Israel, so you need to push in this direction. Now, you don't need to do it irresponsibly, and you don't need to do it quickly, but you do need to put a plan on the table and to push to this direction. Now, this is what we do. We work on people's mind, but we are very persuasive, and we are very... Now, we talk to their heads, to their minds, and to their
sense, to the common sense.
And to their hearts, and to their experience. Okay, we're all experienced with the Oslo Accords. We're all graduates of the Second Intifada. And the Israeli public is very smart. The Europeans not always see us like this. I spoke with a few. But Israelis are very smart and very well experienced. And I think that we can take this to the next level.
I'd like to dwell on this, on the last thing you said, a bit longer, and ask you about your attempts to reach out to people from outside of Israel. Because the Facebook group and your online media presence, from what I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's all in Hebrew.
Correct.
So I see the benefit of galvanizing this sort of ideology among Hebrew-speaking Israelis. How do you reach out beyond that?
So that's a good question. And there's another field that we decided to focus on in the future of Israel, Shali of Israel, and this is why I'm here. Like, I left my 4 kids at home with my amazing husband, and I came here for a week or so, because I think that what we put on our agenda is to try and build bridges between Jewish diaspora and Jewish communities, especially in North America, and the more conservative public in Israel. Not only to promote my agenda, but because I think, and we think, like we did a whole thinking upon this, that these are 2 vectors. the public in Israel and the Jewish communities in North America that are going very fast and very quickly to different directions. Now, we don't talk to each other. Like the more liberal, the Jewish communities in the States are more on the liberal side, and and majority of the Jews in Israel are more on the conservative side. We don't talk to each other.
So do you find it harder to talk to American Jews than it is to talk to Israeli Jews?
Oh, of course. I mean, everyone has his base. Okay, I have my base and you have your base and whatever. But the challenge and the big thing is to try and promote the discussion between these two very different communities and to understand that we are one people.
Are you hopeful? Is it bearing fruit? I mean, what is your experience when talking to America? You say it's difficult, but do you feel that, there's a partner? Someone's listening on the other side?
I don't know. I really hope so. And I really hope so. And I really, I'm working very hard on my base. And it's also a challenge. Like there are voices in the Israeli right. They say, you know what? We don't care about the the more progressive Jews in the States. We don't care. They support J Street. They support the NIF. They support the Iran deal. We don't want to put any energy with them. So what do? We put all our energies to the evangelists. Now that's, it is a tragedy because we need to understand on both sides that there is a challenge and we disagree and we hold different values, but we're one people. So let's talk about the things. Now, people within the Jewish, more like progressive Jewish communities in the States, they talk about me with the left side of the map or with the
sociologists.
Thank you. They don't talk to me. Talk to me and I'll talk to you. So this is why I'm here.
Sara Haetzni-Cohen, the director of My Israel, thank you very much for joining us today. Can you please let our listeners know how to reach your material in English?
Just Google us. It's mostly in Hebrew, but you'll find some stuff in English, including an interview that Haaretz interviewed me, a very big interview about the project of the different solutions to the conflict. And they all, of course, translated it into English.
All right. Thank you very much
for
joining us today. And also many thanks to Gizem Ozdemir, our sound engineer, Itai Shelem, our producer, as well as Amitai Freeman, the director of the Z3 project. And now we've got a request. Many or most of you listen to us on the Apple Podcasts app, and we would like to ask you to please consider writing us a review. Just launch the app, select our podcast in the library section, scroll down to ratings and review, and then press write a review, and then of course write one. You can support us by going to our website, that's tlv1.fm/Tel Aviv Review, and subscribing onto our Patreon campaign. Every little helps. Check out our archive. It has more than 500 interviews. If you like what we do here, you can also like us on Facebook. Our page is called the Tel Aviv Review Podcast, Ideas from Israel. Join us again next week for another edition of the Tel Aviv Review, and until then, goodbye.